Welcome on board. Please turn off and stow away your larger electronic devices for takeoff, as well as your carry-on items in the overhead bins or under the seat in front of you. If you are sitting in the first or emergency exit row, you are required to stow your hand luggage in the overhead bins only. Please take your seat according to your boarding card and fasten your seatbelt now. Thank you.
Liebe Gäste, herzlich willkommen. Bitte verstauen Sie zum Start Ihre größeren, ausgeschalteten elektronischen Geräte im Handgepäck unter dem Vordersitz oder in den Ablagen über Ihnen. Wenn Sie in der ersten Reihe oder in den Notausgang sind. Wir bitten Sie jetzt um Ihre Aufmerksamkeit für wichtige Sicherheitsinformationen. Ihre Smartphones und Tablets dürfen Sie gerne im Flugmodus benutzen. Sollte eines Ihrer elektronischen
Dear guests, we welcome you to Cologne. Please remain seated with your seatbelt fastened until the fasten seatbelt signs have been switched off. Do not use stop laptops and heavy electronic devices. You can now deactivate the flight mode of your mobile phones or tablets. Please open the overhead bins carefully as items can fall out. Thank you for flying Eurowings, a member of Lufthansa Group. We hope that you enjoy your flight with us. We look forward to see you again in one of our flights, and we wish you a pleasant stay. And if you are already dreaming of your next vacation at Eurowings Holidays, your carefree flight and hotel vacation is already waiting for you. Thank you, and I'll see you again soon.
Dear guests, the rescue team will board first. We kindly ask you to remain seated.
Schick doch. Hab schon gerade. Ist vorbei. Oh, du hast mir Link gegeben. Falsche Nummer, deine Nummer noch? 417? Ich gehe nochmal nach. Wer hab ich nicht, Digga? Wir haben uns gegeben.